Hello and welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is June 23rd, 2026. Okay, so we've got blood in the streets again today. Red candles across the board on all assets pretty much. Even the S&P is down 1%. So yeah, that happened today. Hype down 5%. Ranges still look good for me though. Gold bounced out the bottom of my range but back inside, so I'll leave it as is. And ETH, of course, bouncing around at the bottom of my range as well. But as always, ETH, I always use interest-bearing stablecoins versus interest-bearing ETH, so I'm okay if it does go at the bottom of this one quite nicely. But anyways, so that's that. That's what happened. So let's swing over to the news today. I've got a lot of tweets. Most of it's about a specific topic. But as always, it's not financial advice. All this stuff is just hot air from my mouth, and you can breathe it and listen to it and feel it if you like. So let's move into the news. So the first tweet here is the big news of the day or the week or what have you. So this new thing called ETH Labs has been founded or dropped, and it's a non-profit R&D lab for Ethereum and ETH. It seems to be funded by some, big bag holders. So people who kind of care about what the price of ETH more than just the censorship resistance and immutability of. So I'm hoping that they will kind of direct this, like R&D lab will direct some initiatives towards putting ETH to good work and building things or utility for Ethereum, the token, and so forth. So yeah, I'd highly suggest you to read through all of this. I'm not going to read through it all and talk specific. I don't have a set opinion on this thing quite yet. I'm kind of on the fence, and you'll see that a lot of people are on either side of the fence of this and have valid points to kind of go through. Let's read through their little headings of what the ETH Labs believes. Okay, we believe credible neutrality matters. We believe ETH, the token, matters. We believe DeFi matters. And we believe adoption matters. So if they are being true to those things, I can't disagree with them. And it does have talent, and it does have people who are in it for the tech and so forth. So yeah, that's happened, and there is a job thing here. So I might actually send my resume over there and see what they have to say to me. Okay, so Slovakia says to me, this is not the right one. I'm going to move that one over for a little bit later. Let's go to Jarag. Jarag says this. Okay, so ETH employee, am I being laid off? ETH leadership, no, you're being gently cut from the infinite garden and regrafted into a new plant nourished by the sap of the wise whales. Employee, okay, that sounds nice. ETH leadership, now fill this box and leave the premises. So he's just kind of talking about like people are being let go from the ETH Foundation, and I think he's kind of mocking the idea that whales are the ones who are going to direct this new ETH Labs, and if you are going to work there, then you're going to be it kind of gives the idea that like you have to give up your principles now in order to work with that. But anyways, I don't know. I'm interpreting his words the way I interpret it, so I could be wrong. So DeFi Dad says pretty much the opposite. He's like, there's no way to interpret this newly entity of ethlabs.org other than it's very timely, which I agree. At this time, ETH could use an injection of stuff, right? It's very bullish and very necessity for scaling the demand of tokenized 8 trillion in assets on Ethereum, secured and powered by ETH. So, he has a long post here. I'd highly suggest you to read it all in full, but I'm not going to read it to you here on the thing. One of the things I do have to say, mostly about timeliness. I agree with him. It is timely, but we also have a tendency as an industry to clatch onto anything that keeps us afloat, right? It doesn't matter how Ponzi it is. It doesn't matter if it's unsustainable. It doesn't matter if it's like it's giving up our, you know, our ethos or our principles. As long as it has the potential of pumping our coins, we have a tendency as an industry to kind of latch onto that. Not everyone, but as a whole, as an average, we see a lot of that happening. So I would like, you know, to kind of think more on that. So this is what Slovaki said to me. So I kind of said founded by in it for the tech guys, funded by bag holders, and likely to be efficiently driven. I'm not sure they can fumble this badly. I'm hopeful, right? And then Slovaki says, hey, Ceazor, if you put your contributions behind a non-profit, are you not decreasing the censorship resistance of those contributors? I'm not exactly sure. Like, I'm not sure if like a foundation has the ability to work more freely than a non-profit. Like, obviously a non-profit have like specific laws. They can't make money. They can't do this kind of stuff. But I'm not sure if it decreases or increases censorship resistance ability of those contributors, or if those contributors are now forced to comply with like government demands as much. I don't know, but maybe he knows, and that's why he's saying that. But anyways, that's that. So Bantag drops this picture here, and I think it's pretty strong, like a pretty strong illustration of what has happened. So if you take a look at ETH Labs, it has 5 new people, right? And then if you take a look at ETH Foundation, it went from, I don't know, what it was this, it's subtracted from over 200 down to 173. So it's not so scary, it's not so big. It like, yeah, that's a pretty big subtraction, and then only 5 go over to ETH Labs. But it's not like ETH Labs has taken dominance from ETH Foundation. It's just ETH Foundation has cut a little bit, right? And then just a 5 people exodus over here to do something else with ETH Labs. It's better that they've gone to ETH Labs than they've gone to Tempo or some other corporate chain, right? So yeah, that's that. Okay, Vitalik, in his autistic ways, has dropped a reader here. I'm not going to read through it all, but he's basically saying the same thing. Like, ETH Foundation has just decreased its budget by 40%. And he's like, you know, like, people try to pretend it's nothing of great value was lost, that it's an efficiency increase, that only people were unprotected dead weight, and everyone else has stopped partying, studied the blade, and entered the cracked S-tier beast mode. And this is sufficient to make up for the downside. I will not try to pretend this. I respect my ETH colleagues far too much to pretend that there was not much that is lost. So he's saying that even that small percentage, that 40%, it doesn't look quite like 40% in this image, but he's saying that pink loss is an actual loss, and he's saddened by it, so to speak. Now again, you know, you can read through all of his stuff where he starts listing all of the contributions and things that they've done and brought to the ETH layers and stuff like that. So yeah, that's that. Okay, Justin Drake dropped this tweet here, and it says 5 updates. Believe in something. Believe in Ethereum public goods funding. Leaner protocol. Last week I agreed to pay to a pro bono advise a potential 100 million ETH public goods fund. This is announced. An announcement, details soon. And then, yeah, but he deleted this tweet, so you can't read it. I don't know where it went. I don't know why he deleted it. I don't know. I've never talked to him, and I probably never will. But anyways, that's there. That's more news. Okay, so let's move on to crypto news away from this ETH Foundations, ETH Labs type stuff. So Frax Finance has another kind of partner type thing. So Somnia Network is trusting Frax to power its native stablecoin. So there's been a few of these over the past, ecosystems that want a stablecoin are using Frax's stack of tech to build their stablecoin, and as a result, they get a Genius-compliant FRX infrastructure stablecoin. So USDSO is now available on this network. I don't use this network, but as you can see, it does have 400,000 followers. Its purpose is to it looks like its purpose is for like an L1 for AI agents. But yeah, they adopted Frax Finance's stablecoin design and added it and launched the stablecoin. So that happened. So this was Slovaki's other tweet that I kind of accidentally showed at the front. But anyhow, it's a pretty simple thread, but basically it allows you, he's just taking the time to explain to everybody how options work and the benefits of using options to like risk less capital. So, you know, like you don't have to worry about getting like, it's leverage trading without like liquidations, right? Because you don't actually have to execute these, like, so, but you do, it does cost you money, of course. It always costs you the principal, but at least you don't, you know, have to hold the asset if it continues to go down. You just ignore it. Like this, he's talking about call options, not puts, right? So if you do a put, then, you know, it's the opposite, right? But like, so it's, let me read what it says. A call is simple. It's the right to buy BTC at a fixed price up until a fixed date. So basically, I can explain it very easily. Like you can say go to a call options platform and say like I'm willing to buy ETH at, you know, whatever. So let's say I'm going to use ETH instead of BTC because I have the price here. The price is currently 1,700. So you're like, I'm willing to buy ETH at 1,700 or 1,750 in 2 weeks. And if it goes to 3,000 in 2 weeks, you can still buy it at 1,700 and then sell it for 3,000. So it's a fantastic way to gamble or to bet on, speculate on price, because, you know, if it doesn't go into the profitable section, then you don't have to buy it, but you always pay the premiums up front. So yeah, read through this and you'll get a better idea of what he's talking about and how to use call options or options in general, because you can just flip it and use it for puts. Okay, so Alchemix dropped a long thread here about some aspects that they're adding to their protocol. I always check Alchemix every couple of days to see if they have any space in their transmuters, because it's like fixed income and it's pretty predictable, these transmuters. But yeah, so they've added this like ENSO build, so it'll allow you to like kind of zap through different things, and you can, you know, instead of only using ETH AL ETH into the transmuter, you could use ETH or WETH and it'll do the trade for you, kind of zap through. So yeah, there are all these options here. You can check it out and find out if it's something you're interested in. So Ramses did this tweet. Did you know Ramses first deployed in March 2023 as a solidly VE33 DEX? What happened over the next 3 years has defined the future of the model. So we introduced X33 voting, auto voting, liquid staking, hyper RAM, and compounds. Over $2 million in audits on the novel tech stack. Yeah. Ramses is pretty good. It's been constantly innovating over this time. They've done a lot of work on this project, and they continue to do so. I'm a big fan of it. I'm going to keep talking about it because I really like to use this for my liquidity provision. I feel like the UX on this is better than anywhere else. Anyhow, Lefterist is in an argument with Luit here. Basically, the TLDR on this is that the ENS DAO somehow, you know, they got a huge treasury somehow, and it says $500 million in ENS and stables, and then I guess Loot. He's Lefterist is accusing Lutz of basically pillaging the treasury in a way. He's like, you know, they put up a proposal and somehow let's move the treasury away from the DAO into some sort of foundation or, you know, team control. And so he's a little bit angry about that, and because he's a DAO member, and they're basically taking, like, nullifying the DAO based on Lefterist's opinion. So yeah, I'm not part of this DAO, so I don't know, but as you can see, he's getting pretty hot. He's like stealing, and then he's like, stealing, that's pretty egregious language. I recommend it's open up for honest discussion in the forum where the proposal is posted and feedback is welcome. So he's like, yeah, let's take this out of the public into that like quiet little room and talk about it. But I don't know. I kind of agree with Lefteris on this, and I don't think Lefteris is being malicious or fudding or trying to create problems where problems aren't present. Okay, last time I'm going to talk about is Liquidity here. So Liquidity has higher rewards to bold LPs are coming to the Curve LP. So a new initiative will use PIL rewards as bribes on Votium protocol. So currently right now, most of the PIL can vote to direct to the Curve pool. So if you are a Curve pool provider, if you provide to Bold USD on Curve, then you get more Bold, right? But they're adding the ability to vote as LQTY stakers to send PIL to the actual Votium protocol. So then if you are providing to Curve Bold LP, then you can also get more, you'll basically get more CRV rewards if convex voters actually pay for this. And it will put Bold into the hands of more people. Create more trading, because if they decide to leave Bold to USDC, then they will trade through that peg a little bit. I think it's a good idea because if you just put Bold on the Curve pool, then everyone who's in that pool is already bullish or at least willing to use Bold as their stablecoin. To some extent, so they're already familiar with the system. But if you send it to bribers or to voters as bribes, then all of these voters, they get Bold in their wallets, and then they look to see what it is. I think it's a really good idea. I don't know how I will vote, but that is how I don't have much voting power anyway. So yeah, so that's that. So that's it for today. I hope this is interesting and useful. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.